Hi, I'm Dawn, and this is where Shabby meets bling. Today, I am going to be getting a few more items out of my garage. I have quite a few things out there that I have projects planned for, and these are two of them. And they're old frames, and as I mentioned in a previous video, I have maybe 50, and the sad thing is I think I've accumulated more since then. Whoops. So I'm going to be using two more frames in our project today.
This is frame 1 and this is frame 2. First, I'd like to thank Zana of OK at Home DIY, Connie of Connie's Woodshop and DIYs for hosting this What Would You Make collaboration. And let's not forget our guest host, Krista of Krista's Crafty Life. So this is where we're starting. I picked up this mirror at a resale shop for $10. And I thought it was well worth it. The mirror is worn, but the frame itself is absolutely gorgeous. And I am leaving the hardware on. It did not come with the harp. I know this is for a dresser mount of old. And you get a good look at the back side and how it's put together. And it's extremely heavy, extremely heavy. So we're gonna disassemble, take the mirror out, and get started. I was starting to get a little cocky at how easy these were popping off. And then all of a sudden, this guy. So some of them popped right off, some of them I had to fight with, but I got the mirror out and I'm keeping the mirror. Surprise, surprise, because you know I keep everything. And now it's time to fill our frame. Oh, I forgot to tell you what we're making. I should tell you what we're making, right? Does this look familiar? Yeah, it's my little letterboard, and I use it. If you watch any of my videos, you've seen it in the background telling you what the video is. But it's just your average reader board, and it's very inexpensive. Let's say cheap. And I dressed it up a little bit with this vintage frame. But I thought, why not make something that's custom? So we're gonna turn both those frames into custom letterboards. And I'm using lath because I have a plethora of lath. Step 1 is to simply get all of my straight cuts made with my chop saw and make sure they fit in my frame properly. So all of my straight cuts are made, and now I just have to make sure they fit in the frame. Of course, I did measure twice and cut once, as all good carpenters do. I need to make sure that my slats are going to be in there square. Check for square, because if your slats aren't in there straight, your words will be crooked on the side, and that's simply unprofessional. Now it's time for the tricky part, all of my angles. Anything that can be done on the chop saw, I will do so, and anything that can't must be done on the scroll saw. And there we have our first angled piece of lath in place. And now for that first fancy piece that goes in the bottom. And I'm just making sure that that piece of lath is going to line up. And once I'm sure of that, then I'm simply just going to trace it. I'm going to trace that little beautiful scroll in the bottom, and then I'll cut it out. I love my little scroll saw. It makes so many things possible. If you don't work with tools often, but get the opportunity to try something simple like this, I highly recommend that you do it, because it will initiate you into the world of fun possibilities. To me, it's almost like a sewing machine. It works very, very similar to a sewing machine, and if that makes you feel more comfortable, then keep that in mind. And there's our piece. Look how nicely that fits. And there's our fancy piece at the top. All of our slats are cut, those slats that are going to hold our letters. Now it's on to prepping the frame. This frame is old, but she does have a little bit of, in tiny little places, a little bit of sheen and a little bit of goo from her age. So I am going to take my Rust-Oleum deglosser, and I am going to degloss my entire frame. After I let the deglosser sit for 5 minutes, actually I let it sit a little longer than that, then I come back in and I wipe it down a couple of times with warm water and then dry it really well. since our girl here is so incredibly old, her frame is a little kitty wampus, doesn't meet so well, so I'm gonna just simply remedy that with a couple of pin nails. Just forcing it back into where it needs to be. With a little muscle and my pin nailer, and we're in business. Just to take that little ridge off, I hit it lightly with my sander. Now that my frame is totally prepped, we're gonna paint. Let's paint. I'm starting with the back. This custom letterboard is meant for pretty much occasions, events, weddings, whatever, graduations, whatever. This is our Shabby Chic version. So I'm starting with the back because it could very well be visible from the back side, and we want all of it to be pretty. The back is dry. Now let's paint the front. It's imperative that you get into all those little nooks and crannies. I did give this 2 coats of paint. For this look, I want smooth lap, so I'm giving it a quick sanding before we attach it permanently into our frame. Now I'm gonna wood glue and pin each and every piece of lath in place. And you can see I've got some tile spacers there because that is going to be my distance in between each and every piece of lath, because keep in mind, in a letterboard, you have to shove the little letters in there to make it hold. And I'm making sure I'm nice and square with each and every piece. My little friend needs a snack, so it's a good time to take a break. His shy friend wants some too. Aww. Sweet little babies. Enough messing around, time to get back to work. So everything's pinned and glued in place, and now I am going to take away that red hue with a whitewash, and I'm gonna whitewash all of my lath. Every bit of it. I really love how it's looking, but I think she needs a little bit more detail, a little more bling in my Shabby Chic, a little more chic. So I picked up at the Dollar Tree the velvet push pins, and you're gonna find these in the office supply area. And I am going to put one into each and every piece of lath down each side and partway around the corners. For a little extra something. I hit my closest resale shop right as they were closing, so I couldn't film anything inside, so I had to do a little parking lot video. For $3, I grabbed this bag of cake decorating, little plastic whatnots that you stick into the side of cakes when you're decorating them, and I thought they might be fun to add to my letterboard. I used my B7000 and my paper fasteners to attach to the back of my cake decorating whatnots. I just glued them in place, and when they're nice and dry, I'm gonna flip them over and paint them. Actually, I'm gonna paint both sides if I have time.
My Shabby Chic letterboard is done, and it turned out even better than I thought. So I'm really happy with that. Before I can show you though, I need to complete the second letterboard, that one that's going to be more rustic, Farmhouse Americana. So let's get started with that.
Frame number 2 was a straight up salvage piece, poor thing. She's in sad shape. So I glued her, and I used a couple of bungee cords to hold it in place as it dried. I treated this frame exactly the same as the more ornate one. The only difference is my cuts were super simple, just a straight cut. I sanded all my lath smooth. I pinned and glued everything into place. I did not, however, whitewash these boards. I want them to look more rustic. I did, however, add an internal frame, kind of almost like a mat, with my lath, which I did not sand this. I want it to look super rustic. And you can see how the paint is worn off in a lot of the areas, but I want to even enhance that more. So I'm going to sand it a little bit and really distress it.
Now both letterboards are done, even my Rustic Farmhouse Americana letterboard. Now I just need to put all my letters on, spell out some fabulous things, add some of my decor, those little finds that I found here and there and made, and then we're gonna take a look.
Here's our first look. I have our Shabby Chic letterboard ready for a wedding event. Welcome to our happily ever after. You can see the little cherubs from that cake decorating little whatnot bag that I found. And the bells. It was one bell. It was a wicker bell that I cut in half. And I added the little paper fasteners onto the back of that as well. And that vine with the flowers, that's just jute I twined together. What a beautiful look. But we're not done. Let's change it up. How about a birthday party? Happy birthday. And there's more of our little cake decorating whatnots. I don't know what to call them. And I even made a cake, a birthday cake, surrounded by more of those cake decorating little doodads. How pretty. How elegant, how shabby yet chic. So yes, there's the birthday. But what if no event is going on and you just have this beautiful board? How about a lovely little planter and some ribbon, and add back in those cherubs. The planter was a really inexpensive Goodwill find. Here's what the back of the board looks like. You can see how all of our little details are held into place. So simple. So simple. So there's our Shabby Chic board. Let's take a look at our Rustic Farmhouse Americana board. Here she's dressed for a little summer fun. How about a lemonade stand? So cute. Once again, I would like to thank Zana, Connie, and Krista for hosting and guest hosting this What Would You Make collaboration. You will find the links to their channels in the description box below. And make sure you watch the entire playlist. I will also include that link in the description box. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a like. Share it with your family and friends. And anyone that likes design and decor, you can follow me on Instagram, Pinterest, and Facebook. You can support the channel by subscribing, so don't forget to subscribe. But for now, this is Dawn with Shabby Meets Bling. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see you next time.